Okay, never mind. All right, let's go with that. Yeah. So I changed something. I changed how I use gptel recently
Oh, nice.
because the old interface was too much work for me. It had too much friction. So I can explain. Um, okay, maybe I can give you a demo and then explain what's going on. Uh, so the way I use gptel now is I don't open a gptel buffer. So let me cancel that. Right. There are increasingly the way that people use LLMs is to open some kind of client, either
Mm-hmm.
in a terminal or in their editor. Right, in their editor, it's going to be like a window or in Emacs a buffer, which looks like a shell or an org file or something, but it's a place. It's a dedicated place where you go type out your question or your task, and then the agent does the question, does the task. Um, and you can customize this. You can make it so that you can press one button and then that window pops up, and then you type in your query, and it goes away and so on. But at work, I at one point I had so many windows corresponding to like compilation buffers and like git status and like so many things to manage that I didn't want one more window, which was the coding agent. So what I did is I changed my interface to gptel. So the way it works now is as follows: you can select a region or not, right? But in
Mm-hmm.
this case, let's select a region and then pull this up. It brings up a little thing, right? And I'm going to say, what are these files? Okay. Um, and let me just send this. And when I send it, you see that the
Oh,
uh,
nice.
right, it didn't like open a buffer or whatever. It gave me this inline thing. This inline thing, I can now act on it. I can, if I want, or I can increase or decrease the height, which is irrelevant here because it's only 4 lines, right? But there are other things you can do. So I want to explain the model of what's going on here. The first thing, and it's going to take me like a minute. The first thing is that this is an overlay, right? And it shows up right where you are, so you don't have to leave the file. And if you want, you can continue the conversation from here. I can do reply, which is R. Can you see my
Yep.
mouse cursor?
Yep.
Okay, which is R. And so you can continue the conversation, and then it will just update the overlay. Okay, which I am not going to do. But also you can move this around. Just with my mouse, I can drag it to other windows.
Wow. So it
Uh,
means, I mean, like you just did it within the DRED context. You
you
can
can do it
equally
anywhere.
do the same or similar thing in your commits window, right? On the
Yeah. You can
wow,
do this anywhere. Yeah, you can
that
do
is
this
cool.
inside vterm like for all you want because you just need a buffer, right? So let me prove that point. So I'm going to pull up vterm. Wow, let's get bash and there you go. Right? It's just an overlay. There's no right. There's
Uh-huh.
you can just put it wherever you want. Um, okay, but now if I was to like select a second bunch of files and ask what is this,
Uh-huh.
right? I don't want a standalone request. I still want the thing where the LLM has all the context of my previous questions, right?
Okay.
So I want this to be backed by a session. So let's do that, right? So let me clear this. I got rid of that overlay, and now I'm going to select. I don't know. So let's actually ask a follow-up question and not select any region. So I'm just going to say bring this up without selecting anything and say, are there any other Git related state files in a Git repo? Now, this question does not make sense without the context of the previous answer, right?
Uh-huh.
So I just call this and I'm going to send it, and it says beyond the three listed above, Git repo also contains. So clearly it has the context from the previous
Uh-huh.
question,
Uh-huh.
right? So the reason is that underneath the hood, this is just gptel. The only thing that's changed is the interface. So if I act on this overlay, you'll see there's an option to visit. So let's visit, and you'll see that there is an actual gptel buffer,
Oh, nice.
right?
So
And all
like
you're
so
doing.
how do you like it means like I assume that you can actually work with multiple GPTL sessions.
Did you say can or can't?
Can you?
Yes, of course you
All
can.
right. Oh,
So,
wow, wow.
okay, so let me, sorry, so there was something else going on here. Let me get rid of all of that. Okay, so now you can see that our first question is here,
Mhm.
right? And then our second question, let's visit that again. And sorry. Okay, and the second question is answered down here. So there is a gptel session. It's just that the way of interacting with it does not involve switching to that buffer. Okay, so now I also want to see if I can, yeah, I can also reduce or increase the size of the response, as in the overlay.
Mhm.
And you can also scroll,
Okay.
right? You can scroll the overlay uh, to see more if you want. So let me move that out of the way. So the next question was, how can you interact with multiple gptel sessions? And the answer is yes. So let me bring this up, and you'll see it's ready in, right? So this
Ah.
corresponds to the thing there, and you can switch. So you can switch and pick any
Oh,
gptel session, right?
this is
Um,
nice.
and once you switch, so right now it is in the gptel session for my.emacs.d because that's the folder that we are in. So uh, I have a rule. I have a set of rules according to which it creates or picks the session that it should append to and take the context from. But you don't have to. But that rule is just a hook, so you can write your own function to determine which gptel session, which LLM interaction you want to continue from here. But let's just say I'm going to make this test, right? So it's going to create a new gptel session. So this is fresh, and I can ask a question, and for good measure, I can give it uh, like some tools and say, oh, what is this repo, right? And it's running some tools, and the tool calls are not shown here,
Mhm.
but you can see it says this is a personal Emacs, right? Um, and now let me move that out of the way too. And now if I bring up the window, you can see it has remembered that I picked test, right? So you can set it once in a buffer, and then all subsequent interactions will be with the same thing. And if you don't set anything, then it will create one for the project, and then it will just append to that. Okay. Um, all right. So let me open. I don't know what is in this. Okay, this is just some random file with some settings. Um, I'm going to bring this up, and it remembered that it was test,
Mhm.
right? So that's what we want. So I can ask, what is this? What are these settings? Okay, but right now it doesn't know what I'm talking about, so you want to like add some context. And the way that we were doing it in the beginning is we were selecting a region,
Mhm.
right? But you don't have to do that. You can say, what are these settings? You can see there's an option, it says Control C space, including none. You can cycle through things to select. So it includes the current line, which is a blank line, or the contents of the window, or the contents of the buffer, right?
Oh,
So
nice.
you can cycle through the thing you want to include as
Oh.
context. Now this is a bit limited because that's not a fanciful file. Let's just open okay, uh, and let's try it here. What is this block of code for? And you can see it can
Uh-huh.
include defun, line, window. Window is just whatever you see in the window.
Is it it's similar to Embark targets.
I guess, yeah. And you can specify the targets you want. So, for example, I don't know if there are. Oh, Uh, there is one URL here. Where is the URL? Okay, here. So if your cursor is here and you say, "What is this URL?" Uh, okay, it recognized it as an S expression, but I guess it doesn't do URLs in code files. But you can add a target. Yeah, you can add whatever targets you want and cycle through them. I'm just pressing space to cycle through all the possible things. So let me pick defun, which in this case is the use package block, and ask, what is this block of code for, right? And send it. And this is in the test buffer. Yeah. So this is an embark action to send URLs. to a self-hosted queue service at my website.
Nice. Is this
Right?
is this oh like keep going. I got too excited.
Okay.
Like
Yeah. So let me. I can show you the code in a second, but I wanted to see if there are any other actions. Yeah. So you can visit the buffer. So when you press V, this is the session, and it is just a gptel session, and you can continue typing here, right? Yeah. The only thing that changed is the window. The window into this session does not involve visiting this session. That's the idea. So I don't have to worry about managing this window or whatever. I just have this overlay, right? And I can continue. Like I can say reply to continue the conversation and say, what is this service exactly? Can you tell? And let's give it some web tools so it can search the web or try to visit the URL. It's not going to work because this thing is URL is guarded. But it's just replying. Yeah, it's calling web search. It's a listen later for audio on the web service. Right? So self-hosted, blah, blah, blah.
this is really
Right?
nice.
And you can go there and you can see that it was appended to this session.
This is amazing.
And so in this, and when you are in the session, it's assumed that you just wanted to check out the session. So there's a transient map to press Control G to return, as it says at the bottom. So you're back if you just press Control G. So that's to quickly see what is in this buffer, and I'm done. And Control G, and I'm back here. Okay. So that was. So I showed you visit. I showed you reply. C, which just clears the overlay. W just copies this response into the kill ring and then increase and decrease the height of the overlay or just quit. And yes, you can move the overlay around. And I think that's everything you can do with it. Let me.
So to move it around, you just grab it.
I click and drag. Yeah.
Okay. So I wonder for this to work in terminal, you need Emacs the post frames in terminal added in 30 or 31. I forgot. I think
No, you don't need anything. No, it works. It will work as far back as Emacs 22. You just need.
Oh wait, this is not a post frame.
It's not a post frame. I don't like post frames because they cover the text.
Yes.
So I can't see the text under. So that's why we made an overlay.
Yeah, that is nice.
Right. So this is just an overlay, and you can see it doesn't cover any of the text.
Yes. Yeah, this is sick.
Right.
So is this experimental?
Sorry.
Is this part of?
Sorry, Ag.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I just remembered that there are a few more things you can do. Like the cursor can't enter the overlay, right? Because it's not actual text. But you can but even though my cursor is down here, right, I can still scroll the response. So there are just key bindings to scroll the response. Right. And scrolling the response. Let's actually make it slightly bigger. And I can also page the response. So I'm doing page up and page down inside the overlay from outside. Right. So those things are bound to. It's probably that. Yes. So you know the binding for scroll other window, Control Alt V. So that gets rebound to scrolling the overlay, like paging the overlay. Right. Okay. Now that was the basic use of this feature, which is currently unnamed. Maybe gptel inline. That's what I'm going to end up calling it. But now I can show some more advanced uses. Right. So let's grab this and bring this up. So it's including the region. By the way, even though it says including region, we can still cycle through all the targets. So back to region, and so I'm going to say this is a piece of embark configuration, and I'm not going to send it. Instead, let me pull up this help window. Right. Instead, so these are all the actions available in this prompt composition window. So some of these are to send the response, to cycle the targets for inclusion. But you see there's a key binding for append prompt, right, and quit. So that's what I'm going to do. So instead of sending, right, I'm just going to do Control C, Control A. So nothing. It looks like nothing happened, right? uh, let's grab this and say, and this is another piece. What did I do? Okay. Uh, I did append again, right? So nothing's happening. And the reason nothing's happening is because if we switch to that, it's called test. If we switch here, you'll see that it added these prompts to the buffer without sending it, right? So
Interesting.
if you want to build up a question, a prompt that involves, many different pieces of information, you don't have to, you can do this piece by piece and you can add references, right? And then send it at any point. So let's go back. So I'm going
Oh,
to
so you
call,
can collect the things to act on, boom, 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 and
yeah,
then at the end, like you
at the
can.
end. In fact, if you remember in the last prompt, I said, what do these do, right? So the question has already been asked. So I'm going to bring up this window and I'm not even going to type anything. I'm going to leave it blank and just call it and it's going to respond,
Wow,
right? The reason is that those were appended. Those questions and the references were appended before.
nice. So I noticed that the session buffer we call test, and the smaller window, it appears that it seems like you're cloning an indirect buffer that is tied to that buffer. Is that
That's
this?
exactly it. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, this is awesome. Is this available anywhere? Because as soon as I
So
talk
it's
about this, like people start talking, so start asking, like, can we use this?
it's currently in my config, and I'll tell you why. There is one bug that I need to fix. It's a UI bug, not a gptel bug,
Okay.
but it's a real pain to try to fix it. So here's the issue. So you can see I'm scrolling, right? Or rather, I'm paging the overlay, right, with Control Alt V, right?
Mm-hmm.
And similarly, if I press Control Alt M, which is the same as meta return is interpreted as Control Alt M, it
Mm-hmm.
gives me the menu where I can decide what to do, right? So these are key bindings that are active no matter where the cursor is, right? So you can see how this is undesirable. Like, what if I want to scroll the magic log window on the right? If I press Control Alt V, it scrolls uh, it scrolls this overlay instead, right? So I have two options. Option one is like define a key map. It is customizable already, but define a key map and leave it to the user to bind keys for acting on this overlay that don't interfere with any of their existing key bindings. That's option one, right? So now it's up to the user. Option two is what I'm currently doing, which is to do what I think is a clever remapping of concepts like Control Alt V, or let's just say scroll other window, which scrolls the other window. It's a perfect fit to remap that to scrolling the overlay because the overlay is like a window inserted in between, right? So when you scroll Control Alt V, it scrolls this window. Maybe let's do keycast
Is
here.
there a mode that is active when
Uh,
overlays on?
yes, there is a mode, but it's a lot trickier than that. Now, if I scroll until the overlay is out of view, and now I do Control Alt V, you'll see it scrolls
Okay.
the magic, right? So this behavior where if the overlay is visible on the screen, it scrolls the overlay, and then if the overlay is not visible, it scrolls the other window like it should, right? And this is the same for all the key bindings, right? That dynamic behavior is very useful, right? But it's very buggy because you can't do this with a minor mode. You need, I mean, you can do anything with a minor mode, but the point is you can't do this with just a minor mode. You also need to use a bunch of hooks like window state, window scroll functions.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and have to iron those out for a more polished experience. And I think there were so
Yeah.
many little edge cases there that I got fed up and I just stopped, and uh, that kept me from publishing it. The
I
second
also
thing is,
think that's very messy. It's not a good thing to tinker on.
oh yeah, yeah. Um,
I think you can do if you I don't know if you don't work like that. Just bring the cursor onto the overlay or point +1, -1, up to you. Then to enable the key map, your local overlay key map.
Yeah, no, that's a much worse solution, I think. That's what I had initially because that's how
Yeah,
instance
I know
activator
that's
work. Yeah, that's terrible because like if I'm down here, I don't want to scroll up to, and then it's not clear like what the bounds of the overlay are, right? So does the overlay start here or does it start at the end of the line, right? Does it end here? Like there's no indication about where the cursor needs to be to activate the key map, right? So the more intuitive solution, assuming it works, is just it doesn't matter where your cursor is in this buffer. Wherever you are, you can scroll this over, right, or page.
Let me ask you, can you, is it possible to enable the line numbers? In the overlay, I mean.
Oh, in the overlay. Yeah, it's possible.
It's possible.
But,
okay.
Yeah. Why?
No, I'm just thinking like hypothetically what could go wrong here. But I mean like it doesn't matter. I would immediately. This is immediately useful for me personally because so many times I would just. I love gptel because it's not bound to a specific buffer unless you want it to be bound to a specific buffer. I can just send like I use gptel send. At any time, it like I could be like typing a message to like my colleague, and just in that buffer, I would I have a question, but there's no continuation. I can just like continue this easily, this conversation. It just happens in that buffer. But this would be like immediately useful for my use cases, and I love it.
Okay.
I can't
Yeah,
wait for this to.
this is how I use gptel like 95% of the time now. I never actually open the gptel buffer.
Yeah.
Even for agentic things, right? So even to like fix bugs or do whatever in code, like wherever I think there is an issue, I just select it. So there is no issue here. But maybe let's open YouTube. Which is sorry, this is just some random ELS repo. Yeah,
random.
so I can do something like there's a bug where this function errors or early returns when creating an entry for a fake or pseudo RSS feed generated from a random YouTube video, right? Find the issue and then I'll give it turn on agent mode. Let's say turn on planning, right? And I can just send this and it's going to do like a whole thing, right? But I don't have to look at it while it's plugging away.
Yeah, nice.
And then it will just give me the result here when it's done. Wait, there's something else. Oh yeah, I probably want to include agents. Yeah, so gptel does not by default include the agents.md, right? So I just add it at the top of the conversation. Yeah, so I can just send this and it will just plug away like right here. So let me send it and then I don't have to, yeah. I'm free to close this overlay because all the action is happening in the buffer, right? So I'm going to visit the buffer, right? And it's doing its thing here. This is the gptel buffer. So I don't really need to keep the overlay around.
Yeah.
I fired off the request, but I can, and then the results will appear here. Or if I want, I can abort from here. Okay. I aborted it because this is a bug I actually fixed, or rather, I think Gemini identified, and then I fixed. Is it? Yeah, this request is done. Okay, so now let me show you the code. It's currently called gptel-follow because you can follow along. I don't know. I had some idea. It's a bad name. I think gptel inline is what I'm going to end up calling it. And so a couple of things you asked, Ag. One was how does it decide which gptel buffer, like which conversation or the conversation in which buffer to continue here, right? And it does that using a hook. So if you have initiated a gptel, I'm going to call it gptel-follow for today, but that's not the permanent name. If you have initiated gptel-follow before, then whatever buffer you used last time is picked. This you can ignore for now. Otherwise, it creates or reuses a gptel buffer for this project. That's the thing. I mean, that's the current setup, or that's the default setup. But this is just a hook, right? So you can add whatever thing you want, like whatever decision logic you want to pick the right gptel buffer. Like if you always wanted it to have one global gptel session that all requests should be directed to and accumulate context in for your Emacs session, you can do that. right? And then the second question was the references. You liken them to Embark targets, and yes, it is like that. So the way it works is that um, for any major node, you can specify a list of things at point that you want to cycle through. So in prog mode, it cycles through the function, the S expression, which can also be, like a thing inside string quotes, right? A line, window, and buffer. And then for text mode, it's URL, line, sentence, paragraph, window, page, buffer. You can just add to this, right? You can add to this. This is a def custom. You can add to it. OR mode is a little special. In OR mode, yes, you do have window and buffer, but because OR mode has a parser, you can also do paragraphs, sections, headlines. So let me open README. What? Oh, I see. That README is empty. Let's open this README, and let me call a list somewhere. Okay, there's a list. Okay. So if I call gptel inline or follow or whatever and start cycling, you'll see that it's fixed paragraph, plain list, section. That's the heading that's the org entry without the heading, or headline, which is the org entry with the heading, and then window and buffer. So in org mode, you can cycle through things in a more granular way. Well, as granular as you want, because you can add to this. Yeah. And of course, you don't have to do any of this, because if you know beforehand what you want to send exactly, you can just select the region.
Nice.
Right?
Yeah, I got a little bit like for a few seconds analysis. I'm like thinking, you keep talking about the name change, and now I'm like trying to find like what would be the good good name for it.
I mean,
This is
it's okay. I couldn't think of one, so then I asked an LLM. So yeah, rubber ducking. No, yes. So it gave me a bunch of suggestions, and then I didn't like any of them.
yeah.
And then so this is a gptel conversation where essentially I asked, like, what should the name be called? Anyway, I think I'm going to go with gptel inline. So like I said, there are two things stopping me from publishing it right away. One is the bug that the dynamic behavior bug that I know will be issues 1, 2, and 3 on the repo. Like users will immediately run into it and say, "Oh, this doesn't work," and then I'll be like, "Yeah, I know. I just can't be bothered to fix it." This second reason is I don't know if this should be a standalone package or if I should just add it to gptel as an extension.
I personally don't care. I'll find some time and steal it from your config.
Well, okay. It's a proper package. Like it's got all the things. It's got the package requires and the package commentary, and it says provide, right?
Yeah, you can probably consume it directly from your.
So you can consume it directly. You probably want to get rid of these local variables block, which is specific to my config right now. But yeah. Yeah.
Well, I can't wait. I mean, like it's probably end up being a built-in gptel feature, and probably like some people will be finding it 3 years from now, and they will be like, "Whoa, I didn't know like you could do that."
Like, yeah, because yeah, this is I think the last 3 months of using gptel. I got really annoyed with the workflow. There's the standard workflow where I mean, okay, so today you can imitate this workflow just with a little less pizzazz, like this. So let's go back to setup embark and get rid of that. And okay, I can do something like this. I can bring up gptel menu, right, and say prompt from the mini buffer, okay, and respond in the gptel session, and I can pick test, right? And if I want, I can also save or set these options, so I don't have to do this select this and this every time I bring up the menu. Wait, did it set? Okay, and now I can say I can send it, and I send it. It says ask. Okay, I can say, and what does this block of code do? Oh, sorry, hang on. I'm going to have to redo that. Anyway, this time it remembered mini buffer and this, and I can say this. Okay, so now when you prompt from the mini buffer, if you have a region selected, that's actually prepended to your request. You can, if you want, ignore the selection, but I'm going to include it and say, and how about this one? And how does it differ from the other embark groups? Right. So you'll see that it's doing effectively the same thing, right? It continued the conversation in the test gptel buffer, right? And with the context of everything about this, like all the previous embark config blocks that I had asked it about. Yeah, and then it's giving me a comparison that tells you that it had the context of the previous questions. So this is effectively the same thing, right? The input is the same. It's like you selected something and then you sent a request, redirected the request to the gptel buffer of your choice, in this case test. But then the input is the same, but the output is not the same. So the output in this case was that gptel automatically switched to this buffer, and then it places the request here. So this gptel inline package extension, whatever you want to call it, just goes further and makes it so that you don't have to visit the buffer at all, and you get the output, the latest output, in an overlay, like right where you are.
Nice.
Yeah. So the reason I haven't added it to gptel, or I'm undecided, is because I mean functionality that is very similar to this already exists. It's just about these two transient flags. So I don't know.
Okay, that's fair. But I love what I saw.
And I think I customize.
The UI UX is pretty amazing.
Sorry, David, I couldn't hear you. Your volume is too low.
Oh, sorry. The UX is amazing.
Yeah. It's
Oh,
nice.
of this package.
Yeah.
Cool, thank you. Yeah. Yeah. My first thought was to use a pause frame, but then I tested it and like immediately I was annoyed that it's hiding half the buffer, so I did it with overlays. In fact, in here, I have it to do for an alternative UI with pause frame that I will not be implementing because I ended up liking the overlays. Yeah, so there aren't any customizations. That's just this is just how this thing is displayed. In this case, it's displayed below the buffer with a height of 1/3 of the frame or something. And then this is the default chat buffer. If all the functions in the hook that run to find an appropriate chat buffer to use, if they all fail, then it falls back to a default chat buffer called gptel-follow. And then this is the hook. This is this list of functions it runs to try to find an appropriate buffer to continue a conversation in. These are the targets, which you don't have to use. You can just select the region, but if you want, you can use these targets. And then this is the default overlay height. And yeah, that's it.